Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Malbeefance Channel. This is episode 23 of our continuing series replay of Strategic Command WW2 War in the Pacific. For those of you that have been longtime followers of the channel, you know that I usually look at the reports off the episode, in between the episodes. I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to pull up the reports for everybody to have a quick look at. I'm not going to have them up on the screen for too particularly long because you can always pause the video and examine them in detail if you wish to. But I wanted to go ahead and pull the reports up because um, one of the things that I wanted to ask, and that was the reason for pulling these up, is now this is my first time playing through as the Allies all the way through. As I've mentioned in the past, I've usually only played like 4 or 5 turns just to get the feel of it, because the War in the Pacific is actually new to me, even though I have played Strategic Command World at War. The Pacific by itself, the standalone Pacific game, is relatively new to me. I've only played through all the way through as the Japanese one time, and you folks got to see that. And then this is my first time all the way through as the Allies. And so I had a couple of questions for anybody that's played the game longer than I have. Now, we gave the Japanese the advantage of having greater starting production points. And what I wanted to look at specifically is Japanese naval losses. So I've been keeping the American fleet along with the smaller contingent of Australian and Dutch naval forces. I've been keeping them together as a giant armada in order to deflect a potential massive attack by the Japanese Navy. Okay, over the course of the game, I've only sunk 3 fleet carriers, and I have managed to sink 2 escort carriers. Now I don't remember from my playthrough. I don't remember if the Unio is being counted as a fleet carrier or is it being counted as an escort carrier or light carrier. I'm not sure. But she's out there, and my point is, how much more am I going to be anticipating with the added extra production points given to the Japanese? So if anybody has any idea about that, let me know. So, and you can also see the absolutely one-sided tally of losses. Okay, so Japanese forces, both the air, naval, and land forces, have just been absolutely curb stomped over the course of this game. So, and as a result, now we're at a point where all of the Allied forces are actually on the offensive, including British forces in Southeast Asia. Even though they are poorly represented on land, I don't really have a lot of ground forces for them. And amazingly, Chinese forces have been able to hold the line and have actually managed to push back in several areas. So anyways, there's my question. If anybody's got more experience in the game than I do, please let me know what you think. And then for those of you that may be as new at this as I am, I'd also be happy to hear your thoughts on the matter. Okay. The second thing is we've made it to a steady 100 subscribers. Thank you all for that. I very much appreciate it. While I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and advance the turn here. I really appreciate all of you. I never really expected to get this far. I know there are some of you thinking right now, okay, Japanese morale was rocked by the fall of Mukden. I wouldn't doubt it. Allies liberate Portuguese Timor. Now, when I was playing the Japanese, I chose not to invade Timor. simply because I just didn't see the point. You know, I'd wind up making Portugal an enemy, and then the Allies would wind up getting Gao. Okay, so anyways, that research was up to 86%. Meanwhile, China gets long-range aircraft level 2. There is the ledger for the upcoming turn. So yeah, I mean, I started this. I started this as something to do while I was recovering from my chest surgery, and it became interesting. It became fun. There were people that actually responded and were watching regularly, and I just kept doing it. And here we are. I know 100 subscribers isn't a whole lot, but I look at the uh-oh, kamikazes. That one didn't do. Uh-oh, we may lose that cruiser. Well, I know this is going to sound harsh, but better the cruiser than a carrier. All right, so we're getting a lot of Japanese pushback. It had to happen sooner or later. So yeah, all across all fronts, especially it seems down there in Burma, they're really pushing back. Number of attacks down there. Now, even though the weather is turning bad in northern China, I would have still expected the Japanese to push back a little bit harder. Second, Yokosuka has supply losses there in the Gulf of Tonkin. They're pushed back onto the peninsula, cut off from both Haiphong and Pakur. Okay, so there is our convoy rating report. And Chinese collaborationist leader Wang Zhenghui is flown to Nagoya for medical treatment. That is a historical event. I don't remember what his injury was. Not off the top of my head. All right, so 3 kamikaze attacks. And there is our activity summary for the previous turn. Lots of convoy losses to the Japanese. That's got to be crushing. All right, so U.S. intelligence spots garrison in Singapore. And Chinese intelligence spots anti-air on Saipan. They also spot a medium bomber in China there in Jinan. And Russia gets a bunch of reinforcements. All right, so let me start them out on a supply point, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here's those garrisons that I need. Now, I wasn't planning on putting garrisons in Manchuria. I definitely need to get a couple out here on the Sakhalin. So that's what I'm going to do with the first 2. And then I think I've got 2 more coming, and I'll use those to go ahead and help with the rear area in Manchuria. Okay, so we get a communist garrison back. So I'd like to put him in the south to help free up some more nationalist Chinese forces, but I'm not getting that option. So we'll go ahead and put him up here in the north. All right, so the Auckland Corps of New Zealand is now available. All right, and since that's it for reinforcements, I'll go ahead and start right here in New Zealand, upgrade that corps. And, oops, wrong button. I wanted to go to reports. Something I wanted to check here. So for anybody's interested, this is what's going on with the Japanese production. Okay, so it looks like they're pulling in, what is that, roughly about somewhere between 200 and 250, it looks like. Or no, I'm sorry, that's spent. I'm sorry, there we go. So they're bringing in about 380. Now that's actually pretty good when you consider everybody else. So here's Britain just under 250, the United States all the way up there at a whopping, what is that, almost 800. So obviously, I mean, huge country like that. Now, you would expect that the USSR would be raking in as much as the United States or close to it, but I believe that the game is taking into account the fact that the primary focus of the Soviet Union is the war in Europe. So the vast majority of their resources are going to be going there. That would make sense to me. Okay. And then here's Australia at 200. Now, obviously, the Communist Chinese, with the tiny little area that they occupy, they're barely collecting 100, if that. And then Communist China is actually collecting around 350, despite how massively mismanaged historically the nationalist Chinese government was. So that gives you an idea of the relative strengths going on with the production points. So probably another one. So you can see the morale up here, but specifically, so despite victories, Britain is continuing a downward trend. Same thing with the U.S. So the Russians, despite their victories, they've leveled off. China is actually climbing. And the Communist Chinese have actually been taking the brunt of a lot of the losses in China. So I'm not surprised theirs is down. And then Australia, obviously continuing the downward trend like the rest of the Allies, despite victories. But now Japan is really taking a beating in the national morale situation. Okay, so they're actually down to 55 at this point. So that's good. So, but it also shows that you can defeat the Japanese without invading the home islands, as historically happened. And you don't even have to drop the bombs to do it. Take enough of national objective hexes, and their national morale hits 0, and boom, there it is. It's done. So, all right. So enough about that. So we got all of our reinforcements. Let's go ahead and start on the West Coast as usual. All right, everybody here is ready to go. Now I could operate them out, but so only 17 to operate. Okay. Or no, they're only going to operate on the West Coast if I do that. All right, so I do have to put them on the transports. All right, so let's get them going. Now, I've been trying to think about what I can do for that 100th subscriber celebration. I mean, most of my games are all first-person shooters, or they're these strategy games. And then I've got my racing games, and those don't seem to get much traction. It doesn't seem like anybody's too particularly interested in those. So I wanted to do something kind of goofy, kind of funny, but I'm at a loss. So I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll just do a video of one of the games I'm interested in trying out. Just do a real quick like introduction video, because like I've been learning the defunct Battlestar Galactica game. Unfortunately, I did not get the DLCs before they discontinued the game. So if I go ahead and I play any of that, it's going to wind up being vanilla. All right, so we've got ships here that need to catch up. there's always that possibility that a submarine or something like that might come down into the area. So I'm trying to keep a few ships on a kind of guard duty. Have him here to block the port, at least for the moment. All right, so before I start moving all of these amphibs back here, what I want to do is I want to try and open up Davao or Davao, depending on where you come from. Either pronunciation is correct. I'm going to take a chance here. All right. Now, will he cover? He covers most of them. Yep. All right. So they've got air cover. I don't have to worry about pulling the carriers back, at least not at the moment. All right. Do I have anybody else? I should have checked out to see if there was anything at Leyte. All right, let's get this cruiser out of here. There we go. Awesome. All right, so that takes Davao for us. We've got a foothold on Mindanao. Fantastic. Oh, he's not close enough. Now, even though they're not causing any damage to the unit, even though the airstrikes are not causing any damage to the unit, they are lowering readiness and they are lowering morale. For those of you that are new to this type of game, the mechanics of Strategic Command, and so that causes negative effects on their ability to defend themselves from attacks. Now, do I have another? Yep, I've got, well, that's an anti-air unit. There we go. All right, so the amphibious transports were able to wipe the unit out. And the Americans move in to go ahead and take the port. And quickly rebuild the port facilities to help out with supply. And that gives us the island of Timor. Excuse me. All right. So good stuff happening there. Now, before I forget, all right, do I want him to use his bombers on anything? Yes, I do. So let me go ahead and move up the fleet in order to cover all these guys out here. And now, see if anybody's home. Nope. Okay, it says he suffered losses, but he's still at full strength. So I don't know what the computer's smoking there. Now they did actually. All right, so that gives us 2 ports on Celebes. I wound up not needing the heavy artillery after all. Let me get the headquarters out of the way. Now that's the general's headquarters. Oh, I didn't upgrade that port. I missed that last time. All right, now I'm not going to land the Australian general here on Timor. I'm actually going to bring him up here to Celebes, but I'm keeping him in port now because I'm not going to be able to have him land. He'll still be on the transports if I bring him up here to the port, and then there's a chance that the Japanese could sink him while he's still right there on the transports. All right, nobody home there. Can I get anybody there? Yes, I can. I know I'm just going absolutely crazy with the island landings, but I've got the opportunity. And now they can actually march all the way across. All right, so I want to get these guys to Celebes to help out with the rest of the Australian forces, even though that is a heavy artillery unit. So, but I'll get these guys out of here. They should be able to leave now. All right, let's do that. I'll move him out of there. They can move into the port. Now I know I got him exposed, but at least he's got air cover right on top of him. All right, so I'm going to bypass Yap and Ulithi. Just going to try and go straight for the throat. So I know that transport force is exposed, but at least I got them under air cover. Better than nothing. Probably pointless of me upgrading that port. And I got to get the rest of the Australians out of here. Get them moving on. Anybody down in Australia? No. All right, and I can finally move. No, I can't. I upgraded them. I thought I could move the Kiwis. All right, what else can we do over here? So we got all the transports moving. We've pretty much secured Mindanao. I don't think we're going to run into any more resistance on the island itself. Okay, we may see somebody up in Panay. We might encounter somebody at Leyte. Can I get these guys out on the water? Yes, I can. But let's pull them back a little bit for their own safety. So, and they will, obviously, they're going to go to the Philippines. All right, so now my submarine's out here. Now he's not he's not hurting for supply. So, but I got to move them around in case anybody comes hunting for them. Yeah, I know that didn't move him too particularly far, but all right, so he is really low on supply, but I can put him right there and he'll get some. He won't fully resupply, but he will get some. Now, I think that's it for up here for submarines. Yep. All right, so continuing with the submarines, his supply's at 6. I need to start him heading back. So, you know what? Let's try something. Let's go ahead and put him in there and see what happens. It's only got one, there's only one production point at that port at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Now, he's at 6, but he's very close to Medan. Now, he should have resupplied, so he can come back out here and take his place. And he's at 9, so he's good. So I'll let him sit there, see if I can generate a response. He's at 7, he's at 6. All right, so I'll pull him in. Actually, I'll park him up there. Well, now the Royal Sovereign. Now, I don't want them next to the port facilities because the port facilities can shoot at the ships if they're adjacent. His supply is still good. I'm actually going to take the risk of leaving him out there like that. We'll finish repairing the light cruiser Ceylon. The Queen Elizabeth is ready to get underway. We will have her assist. You know what? Attack the port or attack... Well, my plan is to go after Rangoon, so let's see if we can't help out that attack some. All right, so Japan loses 2 production points. Don't know if it helped us with our odds for attacking the town. Doesn't look like it. We'll go ahead and attack anyway. I know I haven't finished with the Navy yet. Once again, my British tanks are out of supply, so let's try and get them closer. Do a little swapping around there. Okay, so that gets him back into range. That'll help with his resupply. It might be smart of me just to go ahead and bring him all the way around here so that he can help. We can concentrate British forces. All right, before I get any more distracted by Southeast Asia, let's finish with the Royal Navy here. To supply 7, all right, so he can spend another turn or 2 out there. All right, so let's see what kind of damage we can do to Pelhambang. Not a whole lot, it would seem. Oh, no, they still managed to get a decent hit. Now, what's his supply? 3? All right, not the smartest move. But it keeps the pressure on here These units will probably stay here while other Allied forces are pushing from the other side. We're squeezing them in between us. Now, do I have any? I got to move that air unit. I want to get him closer to the front, but I don't have a decent spot yet. So I'm just going to have to hold him in reserve for the time being. See if that helps any. All right, so I think that's going to do it for the Royal Navy and my expeditionary force onto Sumatra. And now I've got these guys to bring up to the front. Ah, he still can't get over that hump. Grr! What's his supply? 1? And we better start pulling him back. All right, we got an upgrade for 14th Air Force, greater range. Do the same thing with the Flying Tigers. All right, anything else out this way that I want to do? I don't think so, or can do for that matter. All right, so that brings us into southern China. All right, so the nationalist Chinese have been able to bring the fight into IndoChina. And we have taken Hanoi, another major victory there. Hey, this guy's going to wind up dying on the vine. The sooner I get rid of him, the sooner these guys can move forward. Now, can he resupply or reinforce? Yes, he can. Let's do that. I was looking around to see if I could find anything to put down in this area in order to try and intercept any of these guys trying to escape the island. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. At least not this turn. So where are my bombers? Oh, do I have anybody? Anybody? That's what I get for reinforcing him. I'm not going to risk the anti-air unit. I don't think they would do any damage anyway. All right. Well, he can only reinforce so much. They would actually have to. In my opinion, the better defense would be to go ahead and swap these two guys out. And Fuzhou is in serious trouble. All right, so it looks like the Japanese have conceded the air war down here in southern China. So I'm going to take the opportunity to go ahead and upgrade the Chinese fighters. All right, keeping the pressure on. All right, so these guys Yeah, they need their upgrade or reinforcement. So I'll reinforce him, and then since it looks like we're doing kind of good up here, I'll bring him down here, see if we can't push through to Wuhan. He's still going to be my blocker here. Same thing with this guy. I'm not going to advance him. He's here to protect the headquarters, General Zhu. All right, so moving on to northern China. We'll go ahead and take that crossroads back. Take the opportunity to upgrade the other Chinese fighter wing. I'm just going to have these guys protect the flank for the moment. And that is going to do it for northern China. So now Manchuria. All right. I can't move those yet. I'll leave him here to guard until I'm able to get more folks over there. Can I prep these guys? Yep. All right, so I'm going to prep them for a landing behind Chongqing. In the meantime, we will keep the pressure on. All right, before I move these guys, let's see how we do here. All right, so they weren't able to get anybody up to Pyongyang, so the Russians are able to take it without... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I didn't think so. I didn't think they'd leave Seoul undefended. But we've got Darien and Port Arthur. The tanks need to reinforce. They've been fighting hard. All right, that's what I thought. All right, in that case, shift a few guys over. There, now he's covering all of them. So we'll shift a few troops around to different... What's his coverage? All right, if I move him over here, he still covers a good area. Awesome. That way I can go ahead and move the general into the town. Fantastic. You guys, you know what? I'm going to spend the money, get you guys up, your mobility up. All right, that is it. The Japanese have been, for all intents and purposes, pushed out of Manchuria, and now the Russians have occupied North Korea and are pushing on Seoul, South Korea. Awesome. Just having a quick look around, see if there's anything else I want to do or anything I may have missed. One more time. Another benefit to me keeping the naval forces all combined into one massive fleet is that I wind up having an easier time keeping track of them all. All right, so do we want to spend research or do we want to get more units? That is the wrong button. I wanted that one. I want to get another British HQ out into the mix. Do I have one coming? No, I don't. All right, so we'll save their money. The United States, do I have somebody up? I got one more guy coming. You know what? Let's play it safe. Get another U.S. leader out there. That way I'll have a spare at the way things are going. All right, so now the Chinese actually have Manchuria to call up reinforcements. But what do we got coming troop-wise? Okay, so we do have 2 more garrisons coming, another paratroopers, tanks, and anti-air, and my 2 submarines. So let's go ahead and bank this. Let me go ahead and save it because I'd like to get, do I have a 3rd headquarters? No, I want to get a 3rd headquarters out there. I've been lacking on headquarters units this entire game. I'm going to try and get caught up with that. Now I should have, yes, the Chinese have a headquarters coming. Anti-tank, anti-air. Oh, there we go. Japanese light cruiser, or Chinese, nationalist Chinese light cruiser. There we go. Now, let's go ahead. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Let's go ahead and bank what they got. I want to try and get another army out there to put up in the north. Now, Communist Chinese, they've got their headquarters coming back. Yep. So I don't need more garrisons. I need another army. But I think they can't. They've got this one available. It's not in red, so I should be able to buy it. So any of these that are in red, it means I don't have any more slots. I can't build any more of these because of the hard limits. The hard build limits. All right, Australia. They don't look like they got a lot left because I went ahead and I ordered all of those freaking amphibs. Set those guys out on amphibs. All right, let's go ahead and get the garrison back. I'll feel a little better about New Guinea by putting a garrison here on Port Moresby. All right, and that is going to do it. Yep, that is going to do it for this turn. So this has run about 45 minutes because of me running my mouth early on there. But I did want to thank everybody for helping the channel get to 100 subscribers. That is all you guys. That is not me. I really appreciate it. I mean, who knows where this is going to go. Like I said at the beginning, I'm just doing this for fun. This is not monetized or nothing, but who knows, you know. 100 subscribers is 100 subscribers. I'm not gonna stick my nose up at that. I mean, Jesus, there's 100 people out there that are actually watching this stuff on a regular basis, and there's actually more than that. You go ahead and you look at the analytics, and we've actually got 3 times that many that are actually watching the videos. Just only 100 of you are subscribed, so. The rest of you folks that are routinely tuning in, my question is, what gives? So, all right, so enough of that, enough of the sales pitch. Thanks again, as always. Go ahead and leave a like, drop a comment, helps grow the channel, or it helps fight the algorithm so that it shows up on people's feeds. And then obviously, if you know anybody that likes this sort of content, go ahead and share it with them. Let's see how much further we can get the channel. My next goal is let's see if we can get 125 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm going to set easy. I'm going to set easy goals. All right. Thanks again, and I'll see you all on the next one.